Hi everyone, welcome to the last session today at the Brandon Bus Stage at EventTech Live. My name is Martin. I'm from Slido and I'm hosting this stage today. Now, during the talks that we have today, we're using Slido to capture your insights, comments, and questions. So of course, also during this session, if you have any questions, just take your phone, go to slido.com and put there the code EDL19. We'll address these questions towards the end of the session. Now, our next speaker is Amelia Kallman from The Big Reveal. She's going to tell us a little bit more about merging physical and digital using augmented and virtual reality. Now, before Amelia comes up on the stage, we're going to have a look at a quick video, and then please give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amelia Kallman. Thank you for joining me here today. So I'm a futurist, so it's my job to know about the latest new and coming technologies and their potential impact on the future of business as well as the future of our lives. So today I really want to talk to you guys about some of the new technologies that have gotten me excited that I think are really relevant to the event industry. I'm going to start with this word, disruption. So this is probably one of the most overused words in the technology industry, right up there with innovation, which is on my next slide. But disruption has this kind of negative connotation. It kind of is meant to make people feel that everything you've learned up until this point is no longer relevant. But that simply is not true. So I personally don't believe in disruption. I believe that if you're paying attention and you have the right people and the right tools and the right research around you, and you're looking at not just your own industry but to other industries, then disruption doesn't exist. And instead, innovation becomes an opportunity. It becomes an opportunity to give your clients and customers something that they need and want that maybe they didn't even know they needed or wanted. So I like to remind my clients that it's not a revolution, that it actually doesn't happen overnight like a lot of people want you to believe. It's actually an evolution. Oops, sorry. And this is essentially what I do as a futurist. So I look at the past, and I look at trends that have happened before, and then I look at the current state of technology and trends that are happening now, and then we can start to make assumptions and predictions about what is going to come so that we can start to strategize and future-proof businesses. So today I'm just going to jump into my favorite topic, which is the new realities. So I started in this industry in around 2013. I kind of started from an AV events background. And it was right during the time when things like Google Glass and the Oculus Rift were coming out. And because I don't come from a traditional technology background, this was actually a really big opportunity because everybody was new to it. We were all there for the birth of these new technologies. And I found that I just had a really big interest and curiosity around these technologies, and then also, you know, being able to make the complex accessible to everyone. So I assume that most people here probably know the difference between these, but just so that we're all on the same page, augmented reality overlays the digital onto the physical. This is stuff like your Instagram filters, Pokemon Go, Snapchat, stuff we're all pretty familiar with. And then virtual reality is when you wear the headset and you're completely immersed inside the virtual world. I also think about virtual reality as it being a bit exclusive to your natural world and your natural environment and the people around you, which is why I think that actually it's going to be MR that overtakes virtual reality, and I'm already starting to see this happening. So mixed reality, which is also sometimes referred to as augmented reality, but I like to differentiate because to me mixed reality is what we get from things like the HoloLens or Magic Leap. This is when we overlay the 3D 360-degree holograms within our natural space, but it doesn't take us out of our environment. So we can still look each other in the eye, have a conversation. We can both be interacting with these holograms and manipulating these items. I just recently did some work with the BBC, and they're looking at this for the future of education, how we can better engage with people in training and in schools. So, you're not just reading about the solar system, you're inside the solar system. And then also the future of media. So, how many times have you been watching something on television, but there's a game on at the same time, so you have your laptop open, and maybe you're checking the score for something else on your phone. What these can do, they mean that you can actually have all these different screens open at once, and choose what you're engaging with, and engage with all of them at the same time. So to me, one of the biggest trends affecting the customer journey is WebAR. So this was only really possible literally for like the last 12 months, okay? I think this became a thing about November 2018. And so WebAR is when we can access augmented reality, but without having the friction of downloading an app. So this is a web-based augmented reality program. And so what it means is that if I say to you, do you have your phone on you? Everybody has their phone on them, right? And then I say, do you mind opening up your camera and pointing it here? And people just do it. Whereas if I had said, do you mind downloading an app? There's a lot more friction, there's a lot more chance that people won't do it. So to me, why this is really key is because it takes a technology that people are already familiar with in their social media, in their gaming, and it is actually bringing it mainstream because it's taken away that kind of friction that we've come to expect from these technologies. So this is really going to be vital in kind of breaking through that barrier into making these new realities go a bit more mainstream. So a couple examples of people who've done this really good. So this is the one that they did for Spider-Verse AR. And I recommend that if you have children at home or families, this is a really good one if you want to impress people around the holidays. It's Spider-Verse AR, and basically you can just take your phone and you can place Spider-Man in the room so that he's climbing over chairs, and then you can take selfies with him and you can post it directly to social media. And this was a great campaign that really it brought people to the Spider-Verse franchise. By engaging them just through their phone, which is something that everybody has access to. And then this is probably the most ambitious one I've heard of, but I expect to see a lot more of this in the near future. So what this was is LegoWare took over a store on Regent Street, and it was a completely blank, empty store. And they hired, they teamed up with Snapchat, and basically if you had Snapchat on your app, you go into the store and you can see celebrities doing a runway show. You can scan all the clothing. You can get personalized recommendations. You can interact with these celebrities, take selfies, and you can also instantly purchase from your phone. So to me, this is one of the genius things because it combines the physical and the digital, but it can also take you all the way through the customer journey straight to a purchase. So at the end of this, you can do things like scavenger hunts, which motivates people to interact with different parts of your stores or go to different areas of your event or interact with different products. And then at the end it says, if you want to buy this now, we'll give you 30% off. Here's the clock ticking. Do you want it? And all you have to do is put your thumb down and you've bought it. So being able to bring together that physical, digital, the e-commerce, bricks and mortar is something that people have been looking for a long time, and now it's finally here. This is one that I worked on rather recently, and basically with Asahi, you got to go around the city and there were free pints all over the city, but you had to find them. And once you found them, you just scanned the AR, and then you go into a bar, and you can retrieve them. I'm going to show you a quick video that explains it a bit better than I explained it. And what you can see here too is that it's also geolocated. So this is going to be a really huge part of the future of WebAR and being able to host augmented experiences that are actually location based, so that you can say this is where something is linked to in a specific location. Okay. Where am I at? All right, and then this is something that hasn't probably gotten enough attention from my point of view. This is Bose AR sunglasses. How many of you guys have heard of these or tried these? Yeah? One? Okay. Two? Yeah? So these are my favorite. This is how I listen to music now. I'm one of those creeps on the subway at night who wears sunglasses, but the audio is really good. And how this is really impacting things like events and art galleries and exhibitions is being able to walk around a space in a heads-up, eyes open, hands-free way that they can still have this augmented experience on top of their reality. So these don't have to be sunglasses either. These can just be regular glasses. But you still get this audio. And what it does is it's 360 degrees spatial mapped. So a great example is one where you can go into Elvis's recording studio where he's recording Suspicious Minds. And you can actually walk right up to Elvis. And as you walk up, he gets closer, as if you're really standing next to him. Or you can walk over next to the backup singers or the different instruments. And it creates this kind of immersive experience that is delightful and also allows you to use your imagination. So, we're looking at doing this with charities, where maybe you walk by homeless people on the street and you actually hear their stories. Or also for HR departments, when somebody is onboarded and comes into your office, instead of kind of handing them 100 pages and telling them to read it and kind of waste everybody's time going up and having them explain what they do, you can instead give them the sunglasses and the app on their phone, and they just can walk around and have this exploratory experience where they take on the information themselves. Location-based entertainment is starting to become a lot more mainstream, and I expect this to really grow in the years to come. And this is one of the best use cases I've seen with mixed reality. So this is at I'm going to say Ginza, Japan Sony theme park. And basically, Sony has released a new AR headset prototype, and it's for the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters. So it's actually perfectly suited. So you have to get your friends together, and then you're having this experience where you're actually bringing the ghosts and capturing them. And then, of course, Marshmallow Man comes at the end. But what I really like about this is that, for instance, with virtual reality, you have people who are saying, oh, that's going to make me feel sick, or I don't want to put the headset on because it's going to mess up my eyebrows and that kind of thing. But these headsets are getting smaller and smaller, and actually Apple have kind of released a bit of a prototype. They haven't released it, it's still top secret, but basically they've come out and shown a pair of sunglasses that are mixed reality, augmented reality enabled. And what this really means is that these are going to move into our actual glasses, which becomes a lot less cumbersome. And the idea of being able to merge the physical space with the digital space means that, we're still remaining human. We're still having that human contact, which I think is really important, and I think people will want that in the long run. Sorry. Okay, and then in these spaces, there's huge opportunities for brands to do advertising, to do branding, to monetize these experiences. So because it's 360 degrees, and it's audio, and it's visual, and now it's becoming tactile, and we're even adding in things like scent and taste into these experiences. We're able to kind of influence people in a way that, we don't have much research on. We don't actually know how it's going to turn out, but we do know that this idea about subliminal messaging and implanting false memories and all these kind of things are starting to become real. So there's companies already who are taking advertisers within these virtual spaces. So you're playing a game, but there's a Domino's pizza on the table. Or you hear a sound that is the sound of a Coke being opened. And you might not recognize that consciously, but subconsciously it's making an impact. And this leads into X-commerce. So the kind of next version of e-commerce goes to X-commerce. And this is where we start to buy things and to have these commerce experiences where we're actually making payments. So I've worked with WorldPay and Visa and MasterCard within these spaces, and today we can actually make these virtual payments instantaneously within these virtual worlds. Again, that opens up all kinds of new conversations about data protection, and same kind of, basically we've taken cybersecurity and we've just increased the landscape about 360%. So it's an interesting time to be involved in it. But this is an example for MasterCard where Tiger Woods will actually play golf with you. And this is a really good example of why virtual reality is actually cool, because how many of us are really ever going to play golf with Tiger Woods? Probably none of us. So this gives us an opportunity to do something that we wouldn't normally get to do. And then at the same time, they're using this as an opportunity to sell you his golf clubs, to sell you his clothes. And then pretty soon you have Tiger Woods saying to you, hey, you're like a medium, right? I find that this one is really good when I'm playing golf in Florida. And you think that he's having this kind of like personalized conversation with you, and it turns into an actual sale. And then this is very cool. So here we're able to use EEGs, or brain-computer interface, to actually influence marketing. So with this Discover Your South Africa, we put people inside a virtual reality headset that had very simple sensors on the inside. People didn't even necessarily, it wasn't like we had to put on a whole extra headset. You could be very unaware that this is actually embedded in the headset. So it wasn't cumbersome at all. And they're shown a lot of these different video clips of potential things that they could do in South Africa when they're visiting. Like, for instance, do you want to go see the elephants, or go to a restaurant, or go dancing, or go scuba diving, or all these different things. And what it's able to do is use our biodata and our brain chemistry to be able to say, this is the kind of traveler you are, and this is the perfect holiday for you. So when you go to South Africa, you want to go on safari, you want to go camping with the zebras, and this is targeted to me because it knows what actually aroused me and got that level of excitement. So it feels like this personalized, targeted marketing, and actually I'm more inclined to then go through and make a purchase. So everything is kind of leading towards greater and greater personalization. And we can use biodata and brainwave technology to be able to get here. And what this also means is that we're able to generate experiences based on our own chemistry. So this means that we can each have completely individual experiences. This one here was something that the Mill did several years ago. And it was called Strata. And basically, based on how calm I am or the different emotions I'm feeling, the environment, the virtual environment, is able to change and adapt with it. And now we're looking at being able to include things like artificial intelligence in this as well. So what it's doing is generating scenarios. So when people are training and going through these processes, they never get the same scenario twice. And they're able to then at the end prove, I have gone through this verification. I've been validated because I've passed all these tests. And when I do work with the insurance industry, what this actually means is that we're able to bring down premiums on companies and employees and this kind of thing if we can prove that they have passed these tests and and we can prove it with analytics. So also up until this point, you have to remember that, we've kind of, I guess about like 2016, everybody was like, oh, I want a VR experience because like it was trendy and it was cool. And then it would be over and, their boss would say, well, what's the ROI? And you say, well, everybody liked it. Everybody thought it was really cool, and that's that, But now with these technologies, we can actually prove with graphs, with numbers, the engagement levels, the attraction numbers, how much people are invested with it, which is going to be huge to prove that business case and to help move these technologies forward within an enterprise sector. And one thing that is going to just change a lot of this is 5G. So again, super high speed, fast internet, basically. It means that we can, I can send them my slides in a second. I can sign on to, I can download an app in a second. Like all this kind of stuff means that whereas before the latency and the quality might be pixelated, it might take a long time, it's very expensive, this is going to mean that all those prices start to come down, the point of entry starts to change, and all these technologies can start to come together. So for instance, like with autonomous vehicles, that car is producing data, the car outside next to it's producing data, the environment's producing data, I'm producing data, and what 5G is going to allow us to do is to correlate that data in real time so that we can have autonomous roads and we can be able to bring those future smart cities to life. And I mentioned holograms. So this is the first example I've ever seen in my time working in this industry of a 3D 360 hologram that's glasses free, that's interactive, that people can stand around. And I can tell you that this is kind of like the holy grail of holograms. People have been trying to achieve this for ages. This is an Australian company. They're called Voxin, and it is as cool as it looks. Like, it's actually probably is cooler in person. But being able to use this as an attraction to holoport people and being able to have that hologram of somebody on the other side of the world doing a live presentation like I am now, but completely in real time. Okay, I am at my time. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I do have an innovation newsletter called The Big Reveal. It's available on my website if you want to subscribe. It comes out once a month and it's free, and it's my top 10 latest cool technologies that I have seen. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Amelia, for the great introduction to the topic. If we talk about using augmented and virtual reality at events, what would be the best use case you've seen so far?
Oh, that's a really good. That is a good question. Well, I did quite like the one that we did for the South Africa one. I hosted one that used haptics. So Ultra Leap is it was Ultra Haptics, and then they acquired the Leap Motion. And what this does is it brings tactile, virtual touch sensation to people, but without having to put on a wearable. And combining this with virtual reality and really good content actually is so effective that you can make people jump, you can make people scream, it makes people think that they're having that real experience. And another good example, I guess I'd say, is in the pharmaceutical industry. So they're a highly regulated industry, but they put on lots of events, and one way that we're able to tell their stories and get these messages across are by transporting people through VR or MR into things like the nervous system, or what is it like when you take a pill and what actually happens. So being able to showcase something that we wouldn't be able to showcase in real life, I think medical has a really good opportunity for that.
Thank you. You've been talking a lot about virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Do you think it's gonna melt all together in one thing in future?
Absolutely. I'm already starting to see that. For example, like just being able to turn like a pair of glasses like you would a channel, on a television, like tap, tap for mixed reality, tap, tap, tap for virtual reality. Even things like Zapper, which is a really great cost-effective solution that uses cardboard. They let you jump from AR to MR to VR. So it's already happening. Yeah, and I think for me, they each have their place. They each have their role. None of them are like a one-shop stop that's going to change the future. They each have something to offer of equal importance.
Yeah, thank you. We still have time for questions. I'm going to ask if you consider the question of morality when thinking about using those subliminal messages with AR, VR, especially when we talk about sales.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of work with insurance industries, especially looking at like the risks of these new realities. I've written like the report on the risks of the new realities, and there is a lot of questions around ethics and morality and subliminal messaging. And the thing is, that's really important to remember is that these are new technologies and that we haven't had any long-term studies. So, we know that gaming transfer phenomenon exists. If you spend a lot of time in Minecraft, you are going to start to see shapes and hear sounds from the game inside your real life. I have friends who develop in virtual reality, and then they go out onto the street and their instincts to walk into traffic, because in VR you can walk into traffic and nothing happens. So there are a lot of different things that are coming up because of these new technologies. And as a futurist, it's part of my job to make sure that we are planning for this, looking ahead. So things like Cambridge Analytica, that happen and are, huge and devastating. And everybody says, oh, where'd that come from? Well, if you're paying attention, we could have, prevented that. So I'm trying to really look at how we can be preventative without stifling innovation within the new realities.
Thank you. And maybe the last question for today. You've been talking a lot about wearables and those glasses. And the question here would be, if a major player like an Apple puts out those glasses to the market, will there still be a place for VR?
For VR?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, number one, that is going to happen, like, inevitably, maybe in the next year or so. We will see that. And it is going to make a big impact. I think it's going to be a positive impact. And then, yes, absolutely. I think, like I said, there's different use cases for different applications. So to me, virtual reality has the real potential to democratize training and do for training what the internet did for sharing knowledge. Because everything that we do within virtual reality, these training processes can actually be translated to data. What we can do is we can actually, for instance, take the best knee surgeons in the world and have them all perform the same operation using haptics, using VR, and being able to capture that data, correlate that data, and then take the highest, most effective way to do that operation. And that becomes the new standard that we train people at, no matter where they are and what school they go to.
Thank you, Amelia.
Thank you.
This was the last session for the Brand and Bus stage for today. Thank you very much for coming. See you around the show.